Good morning. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com.
And I'm Brittany Umar, and together we bring you Morning Call. So some mixed markets around the world this morning as China's PMI helped lift Asian markets. Europe remains mixed while our futures are lower yet again. But yesterday our markets did a good job absorbing the negativity. So Scott, what do you think the odds are that we could do it yet again?
Well, you don't want to go back to the well too much, and I feel like a lot of traders were saved yesterday. I know I personally came in pretty net long, and the futures are down 12, 11 handles or 11, 12 handles. I was like, what am I going to do? But it just goes also to show you that if you're in the right stocks, typically, buyers do come back, and a lot of stocks did go from negative to positive. Some actually had some momentum, and it seems like we're trying to build a floor above, just say, 1674 to 1680. Now, the bull thesis, which has been the bull thesis as of late, is that the world economy is getting better. So you see China PMI is getting better, Europe flatlining. So I just don't think people want to be like derailed and fall into the fear-mongering trap of potential, the debt ceiling and the government shutdown, which people do think will come to an end at some point, and they don't want to actually miss that rally.
Right. Well, you mentioned that we're trying to build a floor here, so why don't you give us a visual of that and the levels you're watching? Okay,
so if you look here at the SPX, you will see that the trend has been real strong since November. Okay, so it's been almost a full year of this one on top of many other strong trends. And recently we had a few breakout failures. One right here that gave us a 5% decline. Here, a small one with that head and shoulders top that gave us about a 4% decline, which looked ugly here. If you guys remember, this wasn't looking so good in August. Everyone was all worried about September, and then pow. Then you had the breakout failure based on the Fed inaction. And then, since this whole government shutdown thing, we've pulled in about 30, 40 handles. So I want to show you two things. One, you look here closely. We're trying to build some support. So I think the longer we stay above this 1680 to 1674, the better. At some point, maybe if we do get some kind of compromise resolution, rally can get back on track with a close above 1696, 1670. But guys, if you remember, this wasn't too long ago. Coming into the beginning of the year, a lot of people were all worried about the fiscal cliff. And at that point, it was like rightly so. And that was right here. Okay, so you had the November bottom, you rallied up, and then this is when everyone was fear-mongering that the world would come to an end with the fiscal cliff. Okay, we came in about 50 handles. If people got out of the way and got out of their risk positions, look what happened. And then if they didn't get back in here as it digested in front of the prior year high of 1474, they were left in the dust. So I don't think that you could just base your decisions on what you want to do here. But the bottom line is the trend is still strong. Leadership stocks are acting well, and there's no reason to bail on, especially a macro plan. And as an intermediate trade or P&L trader, you got to be aware of the stocks that are acting well, and also be aware if they change their composure at all.
Right, and we're seeing some nice patterns in some high beta tech stocks continuing to develop. Take Apple, for instance. The action does seem to be getting better there. Do you think we should expect higher prices?
Well, I'd love, it'd be nice to me. I'd love to see it. This stock has been battered and bruised for since last September, over a year now. And sometimes they start to regroup. They build new bases, new patterns. We talked about this new pattern, the lower level area that was building before the earnings call, and then we had the earnings call. It gapped up and held in there. Let me just show you the chart. So with that being said, this was a very interesting area right here. This is when a lot of us put some swing trades back on. You had a very nice momentum run with Carl Icahn announcing his stake right there. Met some resistance, and then remember this was the event. Okay, for me, that's when I pretty much got out of it and got back off the A list. Came in, retested. You had a quick move right back up on the iPhone, positive news, and now it's holding in there. So for me, I'm back involved. I've been involved on the virtual trade floor for about 3 sessions starting here. It was a nice little add-on at 481. Then yesterday regrouped and held in there. And now look at this trend line. It might need another day, it might not. I think that if it could blast off through this 492, then you have 496, and then this stock is well on its way, up into this area, and you have some big guys behind it. You have Miller, you have Icahn, you have some potentially new catalysts coming out. They haven't even had an event for maybe the iPad, the iTV, the iWatch, and they took some of the earnings risk off the table. So I'm gonna try and stay with this one.
All right, trying to stay positive.
Yes.
How about Google? It was actually able to close on highs yesterday to erase all of its overnight losses. And how much would you say it has to get back to highs? And when are we going to get back into that conversation about it being the next $1,000 stock?
I think we can start talking
about
it.
Yeah, we can start.
Let's chat it up a little bit. It actually, I got out of it yesterday because it broke my 880, and this stock makes me look like a novice sometimes. But whenever you have a $900 stock, that's what happens. But overall, investors that have stayed with it, are probably not too concerned. And I think, more intermediate guys like me should be starting to, get a little bit looser with it, because you look at the chart pattern, still looks really good. You still have this upper channel going sideways, digesting above this 840. Here is one pattern, that descending channel that broke to the upside. Then it put in a higher low, and now it's holding in there. So today it's negative. I might even get back into it, for a negative to positive trade. And then if it starts getting through 889, you know what? Then, it's very, very close to those highs. And if you look at the trend's been strong. Back in 2012, we talked about it being the high beta tech stock of the year to get through highs, and that did happen here. Okay, anyway, so if you look where it is now, it's digesting. You still have a very strong macro trend intact. And, the market wants to get on a fourth quarter run. I do believe that this high gets taken out. If their earnings are just, a bit positive, just say, or a decent beat, I think that this one, is just going to get pushed above 1,000, kind of like its run price line that hit 1,070 yesterday.
Right. All right. How about Amazon? Did get back some profits yesterday, but it's holding above its 8-day. So how strong do you think the composure of it still looks?
It still looks great. It definitely was a little, I wouldn't even say frustrating, but traders just say there are two different stocks. It was Netflix and Amazon, both of them high beta names, both of them closed at 2013 highs. The prior day opened down lower yesterday, but both of them went from negative to positive, pushed through the prior day high. One actually had follow through, one didn't. Amazon didn't, but it still looks good. You look at the chart here. This is when it broke above, that prior high, gave you a nice move into earnings, little breakout failure on earnings, retested that level, and then boom, beelined up. Now it's above the 8-day again, hovering at highs. It still acts very well, just didn't stretch yesterday. So as long as it stays above the 8-day, stay with it. If it were to trade above 321.73 tomorrow, I think that you're going to have higher prices, and as an investor, you've been rewarded. Just to quickly show you Netflix, because I put it in the same ballpark. Netflix did close at 2013 highs the same way Amazon did. We're close to it, and then that one gave you an extension. And look at these leading stocks still look good in the face of President Obama asking for a down market so we could help him negotiate.
Well, we have to talk Tesla. We know it's been one of the strongest stocks, but it got hit with a downgrade yesterday, and of course that video of the burning car did not help the situation. So what to do with Tesla today?
If you're coming in flat, I think it's like you're going into a big football game. It's like, okay, this could be a great game where I can get crushed, because this kind of stock could do that to you. And when we started this quarter, I'm like, we have to be a little careful of some of the stocks that were really strong that didn't go down at all because some vested interest leaves. First day of the quarter, they tried to beat it up a little bit. It got saved yesterday with the downgrade, with the burning vehicle. It gave up the 8-day, which was a sign to sell some if you've been trailing it, and that's what you do. You hold stocks that hold above their 8-day. So then this way you can look for opportunity at the 21 or maybe 50. But anyway, here's the chart, and this is how I'm approaching it, because I am flat Tesla today. We talked about if it broke the 8-day, look at the 21-day. It bounced quickly off that yesterday. Wasn't easy at all. And then now today, this is what you have. You have 175.40. Okay, this is today's pivot right there. I think we're opening right around it. It was below it, before the morning call, and now it's probably a little bit above it. If it stays above it, maybe you get a little bit of a bounce. It went up to about 181, 182 yesterday. If, it quickly goes below it, just get out of the way. And if you want to be quick and short it, good luck. It's not easy shorting a Tesla after a 20-point move to the downside. But anyway, here's the big trend line, and that's what's been holding this stock ever since May. So if I were you, use this as your line in the sand both ways. If it breaks below it and doesn't reclaim it, just be very careful. The stock has had an unbelievable move, and again, it's a new quarter. Maybe there's nothing as much behind it as there was going into the end of the quarter. So, keep the size down there, but there will be opportunities, and I'm sure every trader in America will be following it today. Of
course. How about LinkedIn? Has been holding up well during the last few sessions. A little choppy intraday, but how much would you say it's poised to keep moving higher?
It's spacing again, and it looks good. So, this one we've been talking about for 2 years, and every valuation guy in the world has been saying the P is too high, but look how close it is to the highs here. And here's the gap. It never filled it. That's always bullish in my book. And then here, they shook the tree a little bit, but still held above the 50, and now we're a stone throw away from highs again. So with that said, if you're a trader and you can handle it, potentially it gets above 253 to 255. We shall see new highs once again. The stock has had an unbelievable run for investors. If you're an investor and you've been sitting in LinkedIn, congratulations. Let's go to the weekly chart. It's just been an unbelievable vehicle. I love to show this cup and handle pattern because it yields, or sometimes yields, very big results. And here it is, and look how pretty that is, and pow. And up here, it's holding in again. So we'll see what happens earnings time, but overall, it still looks really good.
All right, coming up, we're going to go in the trenches with some Chinese names that are acting well. But first, a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Mark Sperling, Director of Trading with T3 Trading Group and contributor to T3 Live. Do you trade on your own, but you wish you enjoyed the benefits of a large trading floor? With the T3 Live virtual trading floor, we deliver that experience to you on your computer. On the VTF, you can follow the long and short positions of experienced professional traders like myself, Scott Redler, and others, and listen to our live radio stations as we navigate the markets. In addition, you get the added value of a large community of sophisticated and like-minded traders. Your membership to the virtual trading floor also includes access to our two very popular newsletter products, Off the Charts and the Price Point Sheet at no additional cost. In my opinion, joining the room will be the best trading decision you will ever make. I would like to invite you to begin your membership with a 7-day free trial. To get started, visit t3live.com and click on the Virtual Trading Floor tab. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the VTF.
We're back and going in the trenches with some Chinese names that are acting well, namely Baidu. 3-day rally here. Would you buy on dip?
At this point, it depends on your time frame. We started getting excited about this over a month ago. The stock's been out of play for almost a year, and we talked about this big descending channel that could finally be broken to the upside. I went over it with Deb on the street as well. Look at this, monthly chart. Here is your peak in 2011, came down, retested it, and then this ascending channel broke to the downside. And I think that's what we didn't really focus on this in 2012. And then with a trend lower, with a high, lower high, lower high, finally it broke above it right here. It broke above 103.58-ish, and that's what put it back on the map. Look at this perfect symmetry here. Bull flag. Here's your pull, here's your flag, there's your continuation. And right now we're back to 2011 highs. So it's a little tricky here. You go back to your daily chart and you will see that it has had an unbelievable move. This is when it broke the downtrend. Big gap up, held, continued. I wouldn't be initiating it up here, but I think as long as Baidu continues, there will be a lot of excitement around other Chinese names that could have better setups.
Yeah, several names in this group are acting really well. We have Sino, which was one of the first stocks to go green yesterday and managed to close the day up 2.2%.
Yep, and it pays to have a plan. It had its day one. We talk about day ones. And here on a day one is when typically you buy some because it's waking up, and then you could have it confirmed on day two. And yesterday it was in the red. You could have bought it in the red. You could have bought it above yesterday's high, and now the pattern looks like it's about to make 2013 highs. Look at the chart. Here is this upper level area. Remember this trade back here, nice gap. Held the majority of it and then continued. This is supposed to be I think the Twitter of China, so to speak, the Weibo. And here you go. Take a closer look here. This was day one, which we went over on the recap, I believe, and then engulfed this entire range. And then it opened lower. You could have bought it through the high, and now it's right here. So if it's opening a little bit lower today with the futures, you know what? I think you have a technical buy area at 87.40, which could give you continuation. Keep it on the radar.
How about Youku? Had a nice 2-day move. The stock broke out to new highs after seeing more than a 4% gain. So pretty impressive there. How can we get involved?
It just had a 2-day move. So my thing is I like to buy day one, add day two, sell day three. I did not do it with Youku, but I got to just explain the strategy. Here's when it woke up right there. Then it flagged. Talked about this waking up right here, and guys could have bought it negative. And look at that nice move in Youku. People were talking about it on Twitter. I think on Twitter I said if you guys like Chinese names, Youku and Sino could be on your radar, and that was right here. And then look at that. So on day three, I don't think you get as excited, but it just goes to show you that you have to be looking around.
Yeah, speaking of looking around, how about Sohu? Outperformed the market in the last few weeks and saw another 1.25% gain yesterday.
These Chinese names don't seem to be looking at Washington, right? They're looking at their own charts, and investors are having fun if they're with them. And this long channel, so to speak, in Sohu has been on the move, and it's a little extended. Unfortunately, these don't have really tight setups, so I'm showing them for continuation, so learn how they triggered and when they triggered. I think one off the top of my head that might, this last one, have a setup is Netes, and it is lagging. You know, it had a really nice move. It's getting very tight right here. If you're looking for something that still hasn't gone yet, here it is. I don't like going after the last ones, but whatever. Okay, 73.50 would be a decent entry, and then clearing this would be very excited. So I'm actually going to keep this one on my radar today for potential action if it shows its face.
Great, possibly get ahead of the curve on that one.
Yes.
All right, let's do some quick hits here and talk SanDisk. Relative strength yesterday was able to finish the day up 2.4%. What do you think about this one?
This one has been looking better. It broke out yesterday, so in a sea of red with futures down, maybe it continues. So look to this one today for a quick hit. You know, buy it negative. It can go positive above yesterday's high of right here, 61.94. Then all of a sudden, you only have his 2013 highs.
And Schlumberger pattern looking a little bit tight here. Where might we get a breakout?
You know, this one we've talked about so many times, and people are trying to hold it as a swing trade. It's slow, it doesn't really extend, but it looks good. You go to the chart real quickly on Schlumberger. Here was the last time that it went, held this gap, you know, going sideways. It's inching up. It is on its third day, but hasn't been so exciting. I'd say if you want to trade here above 69.90, maybe you can make some shekels.
And CF Industries has been holding higher after reclaiming the support of all key moving averages. What do you think about this one?
Well, the entire ag group somewhat woke up yesterday, and this is the one that actually hasn't been as battered and bruised. And I think Third Point, one of the funds, is behind it as well. You know, we talked about this area right here at 202. Now it's holding, going sideways. I think you can get another trade here. Trades above 215, it can continue. I just want to quickly show you POT. It also has this lower level, base here. It seems as if it might want to get into this gap, which is very, very big. So if it is down a little bit today, if it were to trade above yesterday's high of 32.94, I think you have a setup there.
All right. Well, why don't you give us some insight as to what you'll be focusing on during the trading session, and then also tell us we do have a special event coming up today, 4:30, the free webinar.
Yes, we do. Dan Darrow how to trade options around earnings, which is something that I like to do. So I'm going to pay attention because I could always learn more about options as well. I don't like to take stocks into earnings because it could blow up your account. So at least take options where risk is premium paid. And this guy has proven that he can get it done. And as far as today's action, just going to see if we absorb this down open. You know, yesterday was a little bit more severe than today. How many times could it happen? You know, it can until it can't, so to speak. You know the leading stocks. We went over names that are set up. You know, there's still a lot going on. You still have those laggard type groups that need to wake up. Home builders need to get going, and the financials need to, stop being a headwind in order to, get some power back in the market. But, don't just focus on that. Focus on what's working. And yesterday, lots of stocks went from negative to positive and pushed. Maybe today is the same, and there are a lot of setups. So stay with it, and hopefully one of these days, Washington will start working for the people they represent.
And with that said, happy trading. Have a great day, and check out that free webinar, 4:30 p.m.